Well, Sarah, last week we talked about lambs at the Bible Club, and this week we're going to talk about goats. Oh, no, goats! Goats are so mean. They like to chase people and push them down. I know. Well, you'll like this story because part of it is also about a little boy who was only 8 years old when he became the king. How can you become a king when you're only 8 years old? Well, you do have a lot of older people giving you advice and telling you what to do. But yeah, his name was Josiah, and this was a long time before Jesus was born. Well, I like to hear about kids, but was this kid better than Cain? Because that was kind of depressing last week when we studied Cain and Abel. Yes, he's a lot better than Cain. In fact, Josiah really believed in God. He worshiped God, and he wanted to be a good king. And even when he was about 16 years old, he started to clean up the country and make the people obey God. He had a lot of people working for him, of course, but they went into the temple and, they had a big church. They called it the temple, and that temple needed to be cleaned up. What do you mean? Did they have to vacuum it? It was worse than that, Sarah. They had so much stuff in there, you couldn't hardly walk. I mean, it was like someone who hadn't cleaned their room for about 10 years, and things were buried in there. Oh, I know, I hate it when my room gets all cluttered up. Well, the good thing about cleaning it up was by the time that they got everything picked up, they found something in there that was totally awesome. It was a scroll, because they didn't have books back then. But this scroll was what was left of the Bible. Wow, I guess it's about time if they could find the Bible. Was that the only Bible they had? Yes, because Bibles had to be written by hand. And they were very careful when they lifted it out of the little area that it was in, because they wanted to take it and read it to the king. And when they got to the king, he was so excited. He said, "Read the whole thing to me. I can't wait." But unfortunately, when they read it to him, he found out that they had not been keeping the laws that God gave them, and he ripped his clothes. What? How could he do that? Well, that's what people used to do back then when they were really upset. As the one guy was reading to the king just started crying, and he ripped his clothes and he said, "We are in so much trouble with God." And then, after that, he was even more careful to make sure all the people heard the laws of God. Well, how did he do that if they just had one Bible? He took the scroll and he read it out loud to all the people, even the little kids. Everybody stood outside the temple and listened to the king reading the Bible. And after that, he made a promise that they were going to keep the laws. So they had a huge barbecue. They had killed 3,000 goats and lambs and bulls. No, wait, it was 30,000 lambs and goats and sheep and 3,000 bulls. And then they started throwing away everything that didn't please God. Like what? Well, they were worshiping idols. They made a big bonfire. They threw away all the statues that they had been praying to, and all the scrolls and the books that disagreed with the Bible. They really wanted to clean up their country. I'm telling you, this was a hard time for everybody. And then they realized that God would forgive them. Because in those days, God accepted the blood of the animals as a reminder of his son who was coming. Because Jesus was coming. He was going to die on a cross and be buried in a cave. I remember that. Yeah, he died on the cross. They buried him in a cave, and 3 days later, an angel came and rolled the stone away, and Jesus walked out into the garden. It was so bright when the angels were there. Angels are very shiny, But after Jesus died on the cross, no one ever had to kill a lamb or a goat or a bull or even a little dove anymore, because Jesus' blood paid for the sin of the whole world. Now anyone who asks Jesus to come in their hearts will be forgiven, and their sins will be washed away. That's the part that I like. Me too, Sarah. Well, I guess it's time to clean your room. I guess I better keep my room clean. I don't want to lose my Bible. That's right.